it's kind of teaching that attitude to the kids. Like, you can only control what you can control. So going to that negative, blaming, this is bullshit attitude, even if there's a portion of it that is, like we always talk about, that's not what is worth focusing on, because that means you're not paying attention to the things you need to fix now, because there are things you need to fix. And if you weren't a kid that got drafted, for example, that's a signal that there are things you need to fix. It's not bullshit. Even if there was a circumstance that was bullshit, where there was a kid whose dad owned something, or there's a family connection, or it was a favor, or whatever it was, that can be bullshit, and you also could not be ready to play. Those two things can both be true at the same time. And if you choose to focus on the bullshit situation, then you're ignoring the problems that you have with yourself that you need to fix to get better and to go to the next level. And that's something you don't want to fall into that. And you definitely don't want to teach that as a parent. That can be a big problem.
Yeah. Well, my question, if that was my son, I would be like, okay, son, it was a tough day for you, right? 100%. That was a tough day. And feel for you, right? I'm saying it like pretty emotionless, but I would, when you see your son's heartbreaking, it's a different way of talking to him. But my question would be like, do you love hockey? Why do you play? And the answer should be because I just love hockey, and then that's your reason to continue to go, right? That should be the reason why you play.
Yeah. So let's circle back to the kind of the question of, as parents, we've talked about this before, but walk through it again, because we're going to kind of walk through everything. Is like, what do we want out of sports for our kids? Because like I mentioned earlier, like, this should be the center question that is guiding all your decisions as a parent. Because this can help center you whenever there's anything crazy going on or you don't know what to do. It's like, what do you want out of sports? Like, what is the point?
Yeah. Well, as a parent, I want my kid in sports. I wanted my kids in sports because I knew it was just good for them. I knew it was a way to make friends. I knew it was a way to possibly learn some principles of life. It was to keep them busy. It was to let them have some fun. It was to get them maybe some confidence. It was to learn how to maybe solve a problem here and there. Those are the things, and it gives us something to do as a family, something to talk about a little bit, something to do together that you have a common bond with, even if you weren't a hockey dad, or a dad that wasn't a hockey player, or a mom that doesn't know a lot about hockey. If the kid's playing hockey, then you have something to talk about. But it's like, it's all those reasons. But number one should be so your kid's having fun, and making some friends, and all those core principles of life, and then hopefully through that, it makes parenting easier, in my opinion, if you do this the right way. And hopefully through that, at the end of the day, you learn how to solve some problems in life. And it's like, it's a fun way to learn about life, is if you play sports, because you can learn how to work hard. You can learn how to set a goal, and look back at setting a goal and working towards something. Like, all those principles are the things that you initially want your kids to be in, and to stay busy and healthy. From a kid's perspective, why do you play sports? Well, obviously you get thrown into a sport, or you maybe ask your mom and dad if you can play one day, and they put you in it. And the reason to play sports is hopefully because you love it. And I think when you look any deeper as a child, I don't think it's anything more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think a kid plays so that they can learn how to solve problems later in life. They play because maybe there's friendships, maybe that's what they like about it, but because it's fun. I don't like the sports that I didn't enjoy, I didn't play.
Yeah.
Played hockey, played baseball, played, the sports that I loved all the time as a kid, without anyone telling me to do it, because I loved it. And I think if you understand, it's a question a parent should ask all the time: are you enjoying it? Like, that's why I always say, ask your kid if they're having fun, or if they're enjoying it, because if they're not, then maybe that's something they don't want to do. Maybe try something else.
Yeah.
But if they love playing the game of hockey, or whatever sport they're in, then that should be your number one thing. Are you having fun and enjoying it? Mm-hmm. And then all the other principles after that, come based on how involved a player is.
Yeah.
Right.
I really like how you said that. From the parent, it's funny to contrast the motivation as a parent and then the motivation when you're a kid, because I notice it's very easy to notice when you talk to kids about sports in terms of like life lessons, they don't care, man.
No, they
don't care.
No.
They just want to play the game with their buddies. And You know, it's funny that the times where I remember being receptive to the life lesson was when things were going well, just because I was excited about the fact that the sport was going well. So I
Mhm.
was just more open to listening because I was in a good mood.
Life's good.
You know, life's good. It's
Life's
like,
good.
yeah, it's life. It's like life,
Yeah.
dad. I get it.
Yeah,
Right? I
yeah,
get it, dad. You
yeah.
know, but as a parent, and this is one thing that I want to point out is if your goal with sports, like you said, all those things, have fun with your friends and learn some life lessons. You want to center things around that, and how you always say you can use it as a way to parent. You can parent around the sport because hopefully they would have a goal of some sort in that sport. But if you try to teach your kid using the life thing, it will mostly be an ineffective strategy because it's just like, dad or mom, like, just leave me alone, man. Like, I don't need another life lesson. Not everything needs to be a life lesson when I'm 11. And I remember that because my both my parents were actually really good about like getting me to pay attention to the life things when I was a kid. And I think I was more receptive than most kids just kind of by nature. I paid attention to those kinds of things. But I remember being so tired of hearing the life lesson, man. Like, just stop. Just stop. I'm just playing a hockey game with my friends. Like, can it just be that? And so, as my point of saying that is from the parenting side of it, you in your mind can have that as the goal. Like, I want my kid to learn about life things because, of course, that's a great thing to want them to learn.
And you can do that very subtly.
That's my point. Is
Yeah.
you don't need to. It doesn't need to be you need to do this so that you learn about life, kid. It's like, no, you teach the lessons in the way that they just play the sport. You know, so it's not. It shouldn't be a lecture about life every time they have to battle adversity for 1 minute. You know, so I wanted to point out that contrast because you need to understand that your motivation is not necessarily a motivation that your kid can understand. So you have to be able to navigate that gap to make it effective. Otherwise, if you just keep hammering your kids with life lessons, it's like, oh my god, shut up, like, leave me alone, man.
Yeah.
You know. So that I would just want to point that out because that was well said by you. Sometimes for the kids, it's not much deeper than that. It's not much deeper than I just want to have fun playing the sport. You know.
Yeah.
So that's a good
Well, you
way.
think, like you say your passion is hockey, but you go out and throw a football with your buddies and stuff like that. It becomes a very competitive thing. And if you like it, you're just doing it for fun. You don't see parents, well, sometimes you do. You don't see parents going to the football field to make sure that they do everything properly, right? Or they're competing real hard. And, what did you learn out of it? So I'm just playing. I love it, right? So, I mean, parents invest a little bit of money in the early days. So, I mean, there's that to it. If the kid shows zero interest in it, then, maybe you pull the plug. But
Mhm.
anyways,
So